I'm Dr. Kimberly Manning.
And this is Dr. Ashley McMullen. And you're listening to the Human Doctor Podcast, where we explore the human side of medicine, along with teaching, living, learning, and all things in between. Using the power of storytelling, conversation, and connectedness.
Hey, we're two dope academic internal medicine doctors, but we ain't your doctors. So if you perceive anything we say here as medical advice, no, it ain't that. Also, the things we say, they only reflect our brilliant Black woman magic mind and not our employers.
You could have been anywhere, y'all, but you chose to be here with us, and we appreciate you. Let's go.
So, yes, as you saw last week, we had a bye week, and it was a wellness bye week.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we shoot each other a message and say, this needs to be a wellness bye week. And the response from the other person is always, sounds good.
It is always appreciated, no matter what.
That's right. That's right. There's been a lot going on in these here professional and personal worlds. Yeah. So let's just start by a full acknowledgement of Mahalia, who is out of braids. She is back loud and proud. She had a twist out. She's long. She's looking real good.
Yeah, she was begging to be free. I finally got it together to do my own hair this last weekend, which I have not done in a while. But, you know, we had to get it together because I was literally in Dallas yesterday for our mutual friend Destiny's wedding.
Destiny's wedding.
Yes.
Congratulations,
yes,
Destiny.
Indeed. Destiny and her love, Maya, got married yesterday, and I got to bear witness to that. So
Destiny and Med Pete's Maya. I think she's Med Pete's.
Yeah, she is. Yeah. So yeah, Mahalia had to come through. So but if y'all catch me yawning more than once on this here episode, please know that I have been traveling all day.
Yeah, y'all, because she is all the way yawning for real, for real. But you know, we're not gonna hold that against her. I'm so excited for Destiny.
Yeah,
she's lovely. I have not gotten a chance to meet her wife yet, but you know, if that is Destiny's partner, then she is clearly, you know, awesome.
Yeah, I would concur.
Yeah, and she's met Pete's.
So, yes, as we may have mentioned. Yes, she is.
For those who are like, what is that? So Med Peds is when for your residency training, you did a combined residency in internal medicine and pediatrics. And there are some really awesome people who were crazy enough to do that dual training, one of whom is myself. So yeah, shout out to Destiny and Maya.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. It was a beautiful, beautiful ceremony.
Cool.
But yeah, you know, cool. I'm grateful I made it back. And also like just being in the airport and, you know, having to make connections and all this. One of my small joys was like, I don't know, just these small acts of kindness that you sometimes see in the airport and on planes. Like, you know, I'm flying Southwest, so, you know, you got to just get in where you fit in. And as soon as I sat down, this lady, you know, was trying to offer me some of her cookies that she brought on the flight. And she was just, I don't know, she was just so eager and so kind. And then, you know, someone else was retrieving my bag because I had to put it further back in the plane because I got there late. And, you know, folks were, you know, taking the effort to move my bag forward. So I don't know, folks were just really kind today. And it just made me happy, even though it was a little bit stressful flying. So
I love that. I love that. Yeah, this whole description of what you just said is all very foreign to me because I live in Atlanta.
Yes.
First of all,
go ahead and
I immediately clutched my pearls when you said
connection,
like a connection. I was like, what even is that? What is this? What is this?
Yes.
So for those who don't know, if you live in Atlanta, where Delta Airlines is and America's most efficient and busiest airport is, usually you're going to be able to get a direct flight.
So. Yeah. Well, you know, I took the L. You know, I'd be trying to fly in and out of Oakland, which doesn't have a ton of direct flights. But even still, it wasn't too bad. So how are you doing?
Well, you know, I have to say I am pretty darn groovy right now.
Groovy. All right.
Yeah, I feel good. I feel good. So I have some fun updates. I have had a busy like couple of weeks. I mean, what else is new? But I'll tell you the fun parts. One fun part it was that on Thursday of last week, Zachary, my youngest son, came home for the weekend because he had a bye week from football. So, and he was going to have a test on Friday, but it got canceled. So he was able to come home Thursday. Now, originally, the plan was that we were going to surprise his dad because his dad thought he was coming in on Friday. But what I neglected to remember is that my son's Delta Miles account is attached to my husband's email address.
Oh.
And it's actually impossible to surprise Harry. He doesn't even like surprises. I don't even know why I tried, but like not even 5 minutes after we like moved the flight to Thursday, he called me and says, "Hey, you know Zachary's flight was made for a Thursday? Can y'all change that?" I was like, so we had to come clean. So Zach was home. That was great. When Isaiah heard that Zach was coming home, Isaiah came home for the weekend. So I had both of
Mm.
my sons here this weekend. So on Thursday evening, we were riding to um, a high school football game at Druid Hills High, where Zach had gone to school because he was going to go and support his teammates for senior night. It was all working out great. While I'm riding in the car, the phone rings, and the phone being my phone. And I answer it, and it is Rena Himrajani, who is our residency program director. So if the residency program director calls you after hours, what's the first thought that comes to your head?
Something is wrong. Something bad has happened.
What did I do? So it was a Thursday, and our resident teams start on wards on Wednesdays. So the first thought I had, she answers the phone and she goes, "Hello, friend." I said, "Hello, friend." I said, "Is everything okay?" She says, "Well, hmm, not really." She was at the American Program Directors in Internal Medicine fall meeting, the national meeting, which happens to be in Atlanta. And one of the plenary speakers had a family emergency and could not speak. So she was calling to ask your crazy friend, what are the chances that I could pinch hit as a plenary
Wow.
speaker the next day, less than 24 hours later? You know what I said, right?
Of course.
I love it when a plan comes together. Let's do it.
Put me in, coach.
Throw me in, coach. I was like, we'll make it do what it do. She's like, well, it was something like related to like advocacy and this and that. I was like, we're gonna figure it out.
Mm.
And we
Mm.
did. So that was cool.
It's
So I
impressive.
did a plenary talk that I didn't know I was gonna give for the APDIM meeting. Saw some friends. That was cool.
Wow.
Then though, Saturday, the medical students had the white coat ceremony.
Oh, it's late.
And yeah, our first year medical students.
Okay.
So I have a pre event reception at my house because I live near the medical school. So the families are coming over. I have 8 students in my M1 small group. I open the door, and at the door for one of my advisees is somebody that I know. So this guy that went to medical school with me, he was like a year or two behind me. His son is in my small group. Now I knew the kid in my small group. I knew his father was a doctor. Did not know he went to Meharry. Did not know I knew him. He was like, "What?"
Oh my God. Oh, that's so
Woo!
good.
So yeah, the homie from Meharry, I'm his son's advisor. So that
Full
was
circle.
cool. That was cool.
Mm.
And then last but not least, I spoke on Sunday at IDWeek, which
Hmm.
happens to also be in Atlanta.
Yes.
And for those who do not know, I am seriously the ID mascot for Emory. I love all things infectious diseases. I love especially infectious diseases people. They're just so smart and so cool. And I'm pretty sure that if I had trained at Emory, I probably would have done ID.
Hmm.
But I'm just always trying to be where they are. And when they invited me, nothing about this weekend was convenient for me to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, at least I had more than 24 hours. I did have, but it was really cool. I got to talk about creating and maintaining an optimal learning climate. So yeah, that was dope.
I
So
love it.
it's just on and all the way popping over here.
Always.
All right, y'all. The kings, the queens, the non-binary royalty
Mm.
have been waiting and debating for oh so long. They've been waiting to see what you got up your sleeve, sis. You've been
Sleep.
on these planes, these trains, these automobiles. They're like, yo, lady, what is the what? How's that?
The what is differences.
Differences. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's not overly heavy or nothing like that. We cool with it.
Yeah, it's broad, but
All right. I like it.
relevant
All right.
differences.
Mhm.
So I'm going to take you back all the way to 2006.
Okay.
I am getting ready to start my first year of college. Yes.
God, I'm so old. Oh my God. Okay, keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's where we're at. That's where I'm at.
Yo, wait a minute. College or
College.
medical school?
No, college. And I'm
Why do you hang out with this old lady? Oh my God. Okay, back on topic.
yeah, yes, thank you. I knew you
2006.
had to get it out. So, I'm giving you some time.
All right, I'm sorry.
Um
2006 as I was, you know, nursing my second baby. Keep going.
yeah. Well, this story is a tribute to and a reflection on one of my longest standing friendships, which is actually my college roommate.
Okay.
And when I think back to kind of how our friendship started, one of the things that stood out more than anything was just how absolutely different we were.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to college at a smallish liberal arts school in San Antonio called Trinity University. Shout out to the Trinity folks who listen. But yeah, one of the things that was true for our university, as well as I think many others, is that, your first year on campus, you have to live in the freshman dorms and you can't pick a roommate. They pick it for you,
Mm.
pick them for you. So I remember they basically sent out a survey that was like 5 questions long. It was like very basic stuff like, do you smoke? Like, do you like to stay up late? Very impersonal things that were basically supposed to determine who you're going to be sharing a very small space with for at least a year, possibly more. And so I'm filling this out wondering like, ain't no way this is going to be enough information to like properly match. But I had heard like that the school did a pretty good job of matching folks. And so at this time, I have like an after school job at the Johnson Space Center. It's like this kind of work study program for high school students that I got into that, it's mostly like clerical work, but
Okay.
it's kind of cool because you got to go behind the scenes and like mission control and all that stuff. But, I was with some of the other admin folks in the office where I was working with, and they were all like very, highly anticipating, this roommate assignment.
Okay.
They were gassing me up with like, their own roommate horror stories and just like, trying to see what it was going to be like. And
Mm-hmm.
so they were all like gathered around when I got my roommate assignment. And this was also around the time that Facebook just came on the scene.
Okay.
And at that time, it was very different than it is now. I don't know if you remember, it was when like you had to have, it was just for college students. I like, once I got my email address, which we just got them, that's when you can make a profile. And so I got my roommate assignment, and I had just made like my Facebook. It had like 3 photos on there or something from like prom or whatever. And I go to look at hers, and it is hundreds of photos of her and her cheerleading friends and the homecoming court and everything. And she's got shock blonde hair, like the bluest eyes, tan skin, like just straight out of a J. Crew catalog or something. Um,
Or
and
Abercrombie even.
Abercrombie, there we go. Yes. she's from a small town in Oklahoma, probably not the most diverse. And I had, of course, had all types of thoughts coming in around who this person was going to be. And so like I was just feeling like a little, I don't know, a little apprehensive because I was just like, we are clearly very different on paper. She's bringing a lot of energy that doesn't quite match my own. And we're going to be sharing a small room together. She was already on campus when I got there. And, we hit it off, but it was still kind of early, kind of feeling each other out. Like I really, really wasn't sure. We had a couple of the same classes together, and I would see her like walking by, and literally guys would like stop in their tracks and like be watching her and like, whispering. I have this distinct memory, like one day after class, I overheard a group of guys come up to her and were inviting her to come along to dinner. And her response was, I'd like to, but I really want to make sure that my roommate can come too. And so she did stuff like this a lot, wanting to make sure that I was included in wherever she was going. And so we got a lot of good meals from these guys who paid for everything. That first year, I also ended up visiting her in Oklahoma. I'd never been to Oklahoma before, in this town, which I'd never heard of. And everybody was just so nice, like genuinely nice. I remember feeling that, and again, kind of being taken aback. So I'm learning a lot about her. Like, she's learning about me. She's come to Houston, and I went skiing for the first time with her family. I was scared for my life the entire time, but I managed to stay upright and not break any bones. She was one of the few people who saw me really struggling with my sexual identity from college on throughout medical school. And when I finally came out, one of the things that she asked me, like, how often do you spend thinking about this? And I was just like, every day of my life, this is something that weighs on me. And I could tell that she was just really trying to see me and understand. Throughout the years, she has shown up at every graduation. She came to my grandmother's funeral, and just a lot of spaces where I really didn't expect or ask her to come. She just kept showing up. There was a time around 2022 where I was going through, a bout of depression, and her birthday was coming up, and was hoping that I could come down to Texas where she lives and spend some time with her and her family. She was even offered to buy the ticket. And I was just like, I have to be honest with you, like, this is not a time that I feel like I can travel down there. And she had little kids, and I just didn't think that I could match the energy. And she said, okay, you know what? I'm going to come up there instead for my birthday. Let's go to wine country in Oregon. So she flew up closer to where I was, and we spent the weekend together for her birthday, because that's what she wanted to do. She just wanted to spend time with me and made a point to do that. This most recent trip to Chicago over the summer, I ran into her again. She asked me what I was doing over the summer. I mentioned that I was going to take a trip there, and she actually was going to be there for a business trip and wanted to make sure that we overlapped. So invited me to kick it in her hotel room that her business was comping, and put our meals on her ticket. So, kind of a winding story, but I think, the crux of it is just like, had we not been paired as roommates in 2006, she's not a person that I think I would have readily sought out or expected to be friends with. And, primarily because we were so different. And it ended up being one of the most enduring and important friendships of my life, and one that I anticipate will continue. And I know it will, because her husband is also my financial planner. So, it's just been, it's been such a gift. We'll be friends for 20 years coming up in a few short months. And, one of the other things that I love about us and that experience is that I feel like college did for me what college was supposed to do. which is to bring you up against your growth edges, put you in the company of people you normally would not interact with, particularly as an emerging adult, and begin to see yourself in a different light.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. We lived together all 4 years and obviously have kept in touch. And yeah, I'm really, really, really grateful to have a friend like her in my life.
What do you think that says about you?
Mm. It actually reminded me of an episode we did before where we talked about your friendship with Shanta and this aspect of, you have to be a friend to have a friend.
Yeah.
There was a lot that I learned about myself through my friendship with my roommate. There needed to be an openness there to have your mind changed.
Yeah.
To be willing to see someone different than you were seeing them before.
Yeah.
There was a lot of necessary humility that came with that, and a lot of growth.
Yeah. Yeah. I think when I hear about your roommate and your connection to her, what it says to me is that there was something about you and what you added to her life that made her hold on to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but she sounds from what you described like somebody that um is discerning. I don't think that, some
Mm-hmm.
people, just like seem happy about everything,
Mm-hmm.
but it sounds like this was an intentional thing that she made up her mind that was like, you know what, this is a value add to my life. And I think when we're young, you know, uh, there are sometimes friendships that you have when you're really young and they're fun and they're convenient and they work. But then as you grow older and lives and everything, the season ends and it was a good run, but it's
Mm-hmm.
over.
Mm-hmm.
But
Exactly. Yeah.
you know what I mean? But the
Mm-hmm.
friendships that either come into your life later or that last into like when you good and grown, um, I think that those friendships say something different about you and the person that you're with. Um, so I just think that's kind of amazing. And it's interesting to hear you tell the story about her as if, she's shown up, she keeps showing up. She keeps showing up for me. I imagine that she'd tell the story similarly about you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you didn't mention one time that you showed up for her. Well, we know just from the story that you've told us that she has small children,
Mm-hmm.
that, she got a spouse, and you got to be a friend to have a friend. But
Yeah.
I do understand that there are some friendships that come into your life with people that are not like you, and then you just do not understand what you did to deserve it. Like Shanta, obviously, because I told that whole story about that. But I would say my other friend that comes to my mind when you were just telling that story is my friend Leslie Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Leslie is extremely different than me. I'm like a black girl from Inglewood who went to two HBCUs. She is a Jewish white woman from New York who went to Stanford. Like we just totally different backgrounds. But she is one of my closest friends. And every time I think about us being friends, I'm like, what does this say about me?
Mm.
Because no matter like how raggedy you feel like you are, there are some friends that you have that you're like, you know what? I don't suck that bad.
Yeah.
If that's my friend, like if Shanta is my friend, if Leslie is my friend, if Stacy is my friend, if Lisa's my friend, if Tanya's my friend, if Mara's my friend, man, look, if these people are my friends, I'm doing something right. I don't
Mm.
all the way suck, or I really do have everybody hoodwinked.
Yeah. No, it's
Ah,
real. I
yeah.
think about that in particular with this friend, and I agree. And thank you for pointing that out. I think that sometimes I do question. I was just like, wow, what what did I do to deserve this? And in part because I do recognize, like, every adult friendship, at this point, especially if you don't organically see each other like in a work environment or a neighborhood or school or whatever, it takes a lot of intention to maintain. and throw into the mix, raising children and having a spouse. That's
Mhm.
one thing that I really have always really admired about her, is the way that she still manages to prioritize her friends, in a way that she's willing to sacrifice that.
Yep.
And I've just always appreciated that.
I love that. I love that. Who you are when you're young is so different than who you are when you get older. And I think it becomes a lot less transactional if it's going to be your friend when
Mm-hmm.
you older. Like if you were on my cheerleading team or like we pledged sorority together or I don't know, we were in residency together, all of those things, they create a lot of transactional friendships that you could really be tricked into thinking are real true friendships. And then the season ends and you're like, wow, that is so crazy. I thought I would have been talking to this person for the rest of my life.
Mm.
Um, but
Yeah.
then sometimes you meet people in fleeting spaces, because even our friendship, it was a very fleeting meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But like I knew immediately that I would continue to know you. I knew that right then and right there. And I think, if you are lucky enough to have a few true friends when you're an adult, and especially, um, if you have some true friends who are in different phases of life or their life looks different than yours, but they still are as interested in your life as you are in theirs, that's great. Because when I was single, it was sometimes a struggle to remain friends with people that were married with children.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some of it wasn't them, some of it maybe was me, and how I felt about my stage in life. But I just vowed to not be like a smug married person when I got married. I wanted to remain interested in a world in the me that existed before I got married. So when you describe your friend like still like, leaning into friendships, um, that resonates a lot with me,
Mm.
because that was an agreement Harry and I made very early. He's going to go, off to his college homecoming soon. I'm going to go to mine. We do not go together to each other's. We're
Mm-hmm.
not that couple. Like he goes and enjoys his friends. I go and enjoy my friends.
Mm.
Um, and you don't have to be married with children to be my friend. And if you are, that's cool too.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it says a lot about you to maintain that kind of friendship.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, I think, as we've established, I'm not that old yet, but the older I get,
Yeah.
it deepens my appreciation. I can't even put it into words what it means to have really, really good friends in my life.
Yeah. I mean, the 30s are you emerging in your wisdom.
Late 30s, late 30s.
But you're gonna find out when you get into your early 40s that the wisdom just keeps coming along and you get a lot better at self-preservation. And I think, your friendships say that. They say that about you. You who you choose to be around is an act of love to yourself. And the
Mm,
relationships and the people that you allow to remain proximate to you, really proximate, where they can like, you know, take your time away from you. Um, I think as you get older and your life demands more of you and you love yourself more, you ain't gonna just let anybody have that.
yeah. Mm,
You're just not. So, and I don't care how many times you show up for me. You can keep showing up at everything, but if you make me tired when I'm around you, um, and if you extract more from me than you give, or if something about it don't feel symbiotic,
mm.
then no,
Wow.
no.
Yeah.
How is it serving us both?
Yep. I'm gonna put
So
that in the bank. That's
that's
real.
real.
Yeah.
It's real though, right?
You're who you choose to be around is an act of love to yourself.
That's a word right there, man.
Mm.
It is a act of love to yourself. And it is the best self-improvement program in town. I mean, it really, really is. I got some really wise friends who see the world differently than me. And that includes you. You know,
Mhm.
you talk about differences, and I love cracking jokes about your age and what I was doing when you were doing certain things. Feel crazy to me that I had two whole kids and you was about to start college. That's crazy. But it just means that, there's no rule that says I must have racial concordance with you. I must have generational concordance with you.
Mhm.
I must have geographic upbringing concordance with you. I must have every single thing about you and me has to be the same for it to land.
Mhm.
Sometimes the people who are the most different from you end up being exactly what you need.
Exactly what you need. Yes. I would hate to think of the stuff I might miss out on if I kept that kind of boundary up.
That's dope. Well, sis, I have to say that as an act of love to myself, I continue to connect with you each week and hear beautiful stories like the one you told today. But, you know, like many people who call you friend, we are better for it,
Mhm.
knowing you. So, shout out to me for having a friend like you. Uh,
Yeah.
and shout out to you for creating a space to have a friend like the Oklahoma homie.
Shout out to Oklahoma homie and all my homies who listen. This is also a love letter to the beautiful friendships I have in my life, and of course, including you, Kimberly. So
Thank you.
it's been a good
This is a
ride.
good this is a good time to just say shout out to Amanda and
And
shout out to
shout
you.
out to Amanda,
We haven't said
naturally.
shout out to Amanda in a while. Woo.
Yeah.
All right.
All
All right,
right.
girl. Peace up. A-Town down.
That wraps up this week's episode of the Human Doctor Podcast.
Special thanks to our favorite brother gastroenterologist, Dr. Chuma Obiname, for the beats. Shout out to the Dr. Ashley McMullen for editing and production.
Mad love to our podcast family at The Nocturnist and the Clinical Problem Solvers, our Med Twitter fam.
And especially shout out to all of you, our listeners.
Until next week, remember,
we see you and you are enough. Holla!